Well, hello there. Welcome once again to So Into Bourbon. I'm Glenn. This is Charlie. Charlie, why don't you tell them what we're doing tonight?
Tonight we have an offering from the Hoosier State. That's right, from Fenwick Distillery, 1816 Indiana Straight Rye.
Okay, so 1816 Indiana Rye. Tell me all about this bottle, Charlie.
Fenwick Distillery has been around for a year. Started in
A year?
A year. Started in 2023. Fenwick's, apparently they have a brewery and a public house in
Rensselaer, Indiana.
That's how you say it, apparently. And they
How I say it.
Hey, however you want to say it.
Hey,
so they
correct.
started a distillery to partner with the public house and brewery. And when you start a distillery, the one thing you don't have is
Aged whiskey.
that's right. So you go out and you get some aged whiskey, but this is in Indiana. So they said, let's get some Indiana whiskey and rye. And that's what you see before you.
Awesome. So we know they've probably put this on the bottle that it was made in Lawrenceburg, Indiana at MGP.
No,
No?
it says distilled in Indiana.
Oh, so we don't know where
We don't know where
or who
or who
or when.
or when or how old or anything. Mash bill, we know it's a straight rye. So it is a little bit of a mystery, but it brings up an interesting point. You mentioned MGP, and up until very recently, if you saw distilled in Indiana, there was a 99.9% chance.
That it was made at MGP.
And now, that is not the case. You've got some very nice distilleries making some very nice things. So this could be a variety of distillers.
Maybe. Do we know? Do any of the other distillers in Indiana make whiskey for other labels? Do we know? We don't know. So it's a mystery.
If you're a distillery, you're probably making distillate for anybody that will buy it. So, and
Okay.
Indiana Rye, and this is the whole point of this. Indiana passed the Indiana Rye Act in 2019, I believe it was.
I believe you're right.
And it was just an act saying to be an Indiana Rye, it has to be grown here, it has to be aged here for at least 2 years, because if there's one thing that we do in Indiana, it's farm, and that means great rye. And if you've had any MGP High Rise or any of the stuff from Starlight or Hard Truth, Indiana holds its own in the rye department for sure.
Indiana's putting out some good rye whiskey.
Yeah, so really excited about this one. Currently only available in Indiana, but it will be mass released both through online retailers and distribution. So stay tuned and
Awesome.
go from there. So
What did this bottle run you?
this bottle ran me $46.99
Okay.
plus tax.
Not too bad.
And it is
Although we'll judge that after we taste
we
it.
will judge that after it is 101.6 proof. And these are all aged in
Nice,
new
respectable
charred white oak. They specify
Okay.
white oak. So
It's pretty light in color, as you would suspect. Although I was going to say for a 2-year, we don't know if this is 2-year. It could
I've
be.
seen stuff be darker than this, but lighter than this. I think it has a nice, really kind of amber, yellowish hue to it.
Almost
so if you can kind of see that.
a tea, like a tea color.
Yep. And it puts a nice ring around the top of the glass for sure. It definitely has some viscosity there.
It does. Sticks to the glass really
Runs a little
nicely.
bit. Should
Are
we
we
know?
ready to know?
Should we know?
Glass. Swirl it around, bring it up and say, hello. Then you go back to it. How are you? And then go back to it. Quite well. Thank you very much. Now remember, get into it. Don't go like this. None of this stuff. You want to get right into it to make sure that you're actually examining every part of that whiskey. How do you...
That's got a nice rye nose to it.
Boy, there's a lot of going on there, actually.
I'm getting pine. I'm getting a little bit of bubble gum. Does that make sense?
It really does. My first nose, I was like, oh, that's caramel and spice. And then I nosed it again. I was like, oh, there's a little apple in there. And then I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of that pine that you mentioned, that spearmint. Really nice, interesting nose. And the spearmint kind of just lingers at the end of it.
It's nice. Sometimes that note kind of overpowers.
It
a
can be
rye,
very
but
overpowering.
it's complimentary. Cheers.
1860.
Want me to go or you want me to go?
I want you to go
He always wants me to go first so he can gather his thoughts
and drink more.
and make me look like the idiot. So my first initial thoughts, that rye spice hits you right up front, tip of your tongue. As it falls to the back of your mouth, you get the sweet notes on the back and on the sides of your tongue. Lots of caramel on the back end. A little bit of that little candy corn there. So I suspect it's fairly young, but overall, not terrible.
I really like this one. It is what you want in a rye. Like if you're buying a straight rye, you want it to have rye character. Like that's what you're buying. At least for me, when I'm buying a straight rye, I want it to taste like rye. I want that sweet and spicy. This checks a lot of boxes. It is sweet on the front end, but that rye spice kind of gets you and hooks you, and that rye spice rides. It's probably most intense up front, but it kind of tingles that tongue all the way through. It gives you a really nice. I get like a chocolate covered apple kind of on it, like some fruit and some chocolate.
Chocolate covered apple.
Yeah, like I get some fruit and some of that dark chocolate, that sweet chocolate, and then the oakiness is really kind of cool because it just, at least for me, it sits on the middle of my tongue.
Yeah, middle of your tongue,
Yeah.
roof of your mouth.
Yeah,
And then it fades rather quickly, but that's okay.
it definitely is a drink that makes you like, I'm gonna have another drink of that. I like this one, I really do. I don't think this is as young as you think it is. Like I'm not saying it. I think it's definitely older than probably 4 years old for sure. It wouldn't surprise me if this is a blend of some 5, 6, 7 year stuff. It's not a single barrel. It doesn't say it is. We're assuming this is blended, but I feel like the character. One of the giveaways for me is the spearmint nose. When I get a spearmint nose, it's typically on a higher aged bourbon or rye.
So I know for a bourbon, if it's non-age stated, that means it's at least 4 years old. Does
Right.
that rule apply for a rye?
That's a great question.
I don't know.
That's a great question. I would assume so. But again, the rules for bourbon, probably should have looked that up.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll look that up and have Glenn put a
One of
thing.
you watching knows, and I'm sure you do, comment. Let us know. Yeah, it's not bad.
So this has actually won a couple of awards. It won the gold medal by the American Distilling Institute's International Spirits Competition, and it won a SIP award. That's SIP. Double gold medal. The SIP double gold medal is awarded to outstanding rank of spirits qualifying for the top percentile of its category. It's a double blind tasting by unbiased consumers. So if you're already winning awards and you've only been around for a year, what you're putting in the bottle is probably pretty good.
Pretty good stuff. Looking forward to whatever they have coming in the future.
Yeah, check out their
I can't get
website.
rid of that. It's weird. I don't know that I've ever got like a bubblegum note out of a whiskey, but it's there.
Did you get it on the palate? Bubblegum on the palate or just on the
Yeah,
nose?
on the palate. It's kind of in the middle of the tongue. It's like between the spiciness and the caramel sweetness.
Yeah.
It's odd. It's not odd in a bad way. It's just different. It's something I don't know if I've had that.
Full disclosure, when we were starting this episode and we were going to do it, I have a bottle from, well, I'll just show you. I have a bottle from Starlight, which is one of our favorite distilleries. It's kind of our home distillery. It's right up the road. This is their 8.5 year, 107 proof straight rye, family reserve. I was going to compare it to these two because I thought, well, maybe they'll be similar. But just drinking that's pretty unique. It's different from any rye. Do you still want to drink this? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like we need to.
And that's kind of what I thought
Yeah.
too, because this is a different.
I think it kind of stands on its
It
own.
really is. We've drank a lot of Indiana Ryes, whether they be MGP or Hard Truth or Starlight or, God, I'm missing one.
French Lick.
French Lick.
Yeah.
We've done a lot, and this one I feel like is pretty, stands on its own. It's pretty unique. It definitely has a flavor profile that's kind of familiar, but outside of that, it does have, after 3 drinks of it now and kind of just sitting and talking, it's got some oakiness to it. Like, it really sticks around.
I will say, and I always say, I feel like I can pick out an Indiana Rye
Yeah.
blind.
Yep.
This, I don't know if this falls into that same category. I don't think it doesn't have that. Usually an Indiana Rye has kind of a musty funkiness, earthy funk to it. And I don't really get that on this one.
I feel like this is more oaky than the Indiana Ryes that we've had. So I feel like it's more kind of, and I don't know. I'm intrigued by this bottle. I've been excited since I got it to open it and do the episode. Indiana has really closed that gap in terms of distilled spirits from, Kentucky. Let's just be honest. We're all chasing Kentucky. But there's some really great things going on in the Hoosier State with craft distilleries, and some of our craft distilleries are getting pretty dang big.
Yeah, they are.
So, and MGP is here, and we'll claim them. So, I like this one. I think this is a nice offering and a nice addition to the Indiana catalog. I feel like this will appeal to a more traditional bourbon drinker, somebody who wants that deep, oaky, kind of punch you in the mouth. I like it. And at 101.6 proof, it's got a lot of flavor there.
All right, so ready.
Oh, that's a good one. I will give this a very solid 6.8994. 6.8994.
I will give it a 6.5.
Okay.
It's above average. Wouldn't say it's great, but it's decent. It's good price, and I love supporting local craft distillers. So
yeah,
love it.
Under $50. It's an Indiana product. I feel like it's proofed right. I like it. This is going to be a normal release for them. They did say that they are going to have a special release in the fall. So don't know if I was supposed to share that, but I just did. So.
Well, now we know. Now we know. Charlie, why don't we talk about the hat?
That's right.
This is the debut.
This is the
of
debut.
So Into Bourbon.
The So Into Bourbon hat. Hold the hat. We got the hat. We have the So Into Bourbon golf towel. That's right. Microfiber. It's got the carabiner on it. Perfect for the golfer. And then most importantly, our cry, our call, our creed, make bourbon affordable again. That's right. It's a great shirt. Feel this shirt, Glenn. Everybody knows it's the best shirt. A lot of people say it's the best shirt. I don't say it, other people do. And make sure 2024, So Into Bourbon, a vote for the bourbon economy. All this great stuff is available on our web store. Link in bio.
Yes, I mean, I can imagine if you're playing golf, you get locked up, you need to wipe the sweat, wipe the tears away after you get locked up.
Yeah. So if you're playing golf and you get arrested by Louisville Metro PD, like, I just didn't see him. I don't even know what's happening right now. And then shoot a 66. God bless you, Scotty.
All right, Charlie, let's wrap this baby up.
Yep.
Why don't you tell them what to do?
You got to like and subscribe here on the YouTube channel for more hard-hitting Indiana commentary.
And as always, check out socials, So Into Bourbon on Facebook and Instagram, and Whiskey Realtor on TikTok. And don't forget to keep those wallets loose.
And your bungholes tight. Good night, everybody.
Peace out.
Indiana. It is Fenwick's, right?
Yep. In Rensselaer, Indiana.
I got it all over the label, look.
That's all right. It's more realistic.
Once, some of us more than others.
Well,
Say check, check.
Check, 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 check.
1, 2, 1. Yep. Oh. We're reading.
Let's do it.
Ready. Indiana Rye. Action.